Hello, my name is Dr. Katherine Weintraub. I am the professor of saxophone at the University of South Florida and also Southeastern University. I'm also a private instructor in Tampa, Florida. Today I will be both performing and teaching the 9th and 10th grade tenor saxophone Allstate Etudes. I'll be starting today with the lyrical etude. As you can see, this etude is in the key of A flat major. And for most of us, that's not a key that we often play in. So spend a lot of time getting used to this scale and also tuning each note of this scale. Tuning is probably going to be a pretty big issue in this etude. So once you get used to playing the scale and tune, then practice the etude itself with a tuner. You are probably going to want to spend extra time tuning your middle E flat in comparison with your middle C sharp or middle D flat. Your E flat is going to tend to be rather sharp, and your C sharp or D flat is going to be flat. So we want to try to limit the disparity between these two pitches. You also will want to spend some time tuning your high E flat as well, as this tends to be kind of a flat note on the tenor saxophone. In terms of the articulations for this etude, there are some staccatos, but they should be nice and light and bouncy, and nothing should ever feel clipped. So whenever we see slurs, try not to clip the ends of slurs. The overall style here should be legato, even though we do see some staccatos in here. We also do see some accents in this etude. Try to think of the accents of adding weight or warmth to a note instead of a sharp sort of intensity that you'd normally think of with accents. Try to also achieve the accent with extra air and not extra tongue. So think more air to get that accent to come out. So, and if we use extra tongue, it's just going to sound too harsh. It's going to interfere with the tone of the note. If you like, vibrato is something you can also experiment with this etude. It could add a nice expressive element, and then vibrato can also be a really useful tool to add warmth and intensity to accented pitches. You also want to make sure, lastly, that you practice with a metronome consistently on this etude to make sure that the pulse stays consistent and that you're properly subdividing both the quarter notes, or the dotted quarter notes, and the dotted eighth notes. So here are some tips and tricks for the tenor saxophone technical etude. First of all, this etude is in the key of F harmonic minor. So this is probably not a scale or a key that you play in very often, so I would suggest getting used to that scale and tuning the notes of the scale. We also see a lot of accents in this etude, which sort of go along with the style of risoluto or resolute as marked at the beginning of the etude. These accents should be achieved with faster, more explosive air, but not by using extra tongue on the reed. So try to get used to breaking that habit if that's something that you've fallen into. Like I said, risoluto means resolute. So something that's going to really help clearly portray the style are the clarity of their articulation. So making sure that the tongue is nice and crisp and light, and also the sudden dynamic changes from forte to piano that we see in here. We also want to make sure that the dotted 8th, 16th figures are properly subdivided in this etude. That's also going to bring out the resolute style that we're looking for. So for example, in the 3rd and 4th measures, do 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 do, instead of do 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 do. We want to make sure that we don't fall into that dreaded triplet style for that rhythm. We also want to make sure that we maintain the energy through the sound on that long series of half notes, just to make sure that the phrase is not chopped up. Again, that's going to add to the resolute feel that we want in this particular etude. Lastly, you might think about employing vibrato as a technique to add intensity to the accented notes, especially when it comes to those half notes. So those are just some tips and tricks for the 9th and 10th grade tenor sax Allstate Etudes. I hope these helped, and in the meantime, good luck and happy practicing.